So I really just have a bunch of pictures. That's okay, and we're gonna maybe make up a little time. But these are some of the things that we do in Oregon that I think are unique for bit tag arrays and bit tag monitoring. We'll start out with what has already been mentioned, which are the FRP put on one off. They are they've been pretty slick, and we're starting to use them almost exclusively. So what they are basically is just fiberglass reinforced plastic, jacketed with in the water barrier is either PEX or Worsco. And so you do have an internal water barrier, but they're not very buoyant, which is kind of nice. They're also laser pointer. They use I-beams to secure, I guess, the sides together and make them much more rigid. And then you can see the comparison there to the regular Schedule 80, which is right down here, and they're 2-inch, which gives them a lot lower profile to the water and the effects the energy has on these antennas. They perform just about as well as the Schedule 80. There's a little bit of a drop in read range, but for where we're putting most of these, it doesn't matter because we're still most of the year protecting over the water surface. So it's another look at installation where most of our installations are earth-driven anchors with MR88, so that we use a hydraulic founder and don't drive through the ductile. And then we strap it down with stainless steel straps, and they're working really well for us right now. One thing I wanted to get into some of our electronics that we get on our field sites. This is a pretty typical installation, which is master controller. Sometimes we have a node that's close enough that we can monitor an antenna close to the box. And then battery backup, battery switcher, and our modem. Something that might not be as typical for an installation is a bunch of iOS 1001 strung together and synchronized. So you don't even need a master controller, which comes in pretty handy if you don't have funding for it, or if you just want to put a system out quickly. The thing that we really use for these is those B&B electronics modems, which I'll get into a little bit later. But so you can assign each one of the iOS 1001s a port number and just dial into it individually, pull off the data, and then go to the next one and dial into it and pull off the data. They work really well for us. It is nice if you're limited on funding.
Derek, that's one modem that can talk to both of those.
That's one modem that, so yeah, go to the smart. The iOS 1001, an Ethernet out, or you can have a serial out or USB out. And the modems themselves, you can have multiple Ethernet ports, got a USB direct to serial port, and it's also got these expansion ports, which are RS-232. And so you can assign as many ports as you need to one of these modems. You can expand this again by putting a switcher in. Probably 30 iOS 1001s if you wanted to, and just dial into each one of them separately, which is, it's really slick. Go back. Okay. Faber is our friend. This stuff is amazing. This is ferrite pile. It shields against any electromagnetic interference that's caused by a ferrous metal. And it shields, and it seems to reflect it as well and also boost the power. At least that's what I've seen. We use this a lot. Dam installations, and believe it or not, there are still dams on some of these tributaries. And it's also a really good place to detect fish. So, to an example, these are ferrite shielded fiberglass antennas that has another, text interior where we're running our lit wire, and they're shielded from that the rebar that's inside that concrete. Just a few more shots. We've got some at phosphor ladder, and then you can even be surrounded by this is all stainless steel, and as long as you have that ferrite shielding, there's 2 antennas inside this room, and then we get really good detection, and it doesn't suck all the energy out of the field as long as you use that ferrite shielding. And just one more example, which is this is at the Staten V Screen, which is a great site. We get all this water gets screened down into this tiny little hot end box, where we've got 3 antennas, and we get fantastic detection efficiency going through here, and then it shuts it off to the North Canyon River. But they're all, very shielded in the antennas again. And some other things we've done. This is a viewing window. One happens to be at Lieberg, but we put in a few of these. The antenna is actually framing the viewing window and shielded on this side with ferrite, and pushing that field into the water on the other side of the viewing window, and we get we interrogate that whole volume of water between the window and the crowder that goes into that ladder, which allows us to do things like look at the pit tag as it's coming through as a steelhead that has been pit tagged, and you can see it in real time as it gets detected, and so you can get great marker capture estimates just from looking at the video, because you've also got unmarked fish going through there. And I already got into this. This is what we're really using exclusively wherever we have cell coverage. We don't have cell coverage everywhere. But you get to know your Verizon and AT&T reps really well. They give you a SIM card, and each of these modems can have up to 2 SIM cards, so you can have redundancy if you need it. But they're super flexible. They're between 450 and 650, depending on how many options you get on them. But they're either plastic or they're also ruggedized for industrial applications, which is really nice. And they run off of, I think, between 10 volts and 36 volts. So they're super flexible. And you can put a cell booster in there if you need to inline. And then how we get most of the data off these sites to dial into those modems, but we use an open source software called TerraTerm and LogMe TerraTerm. We run this on a remote server where we have a script that runs. LogMe TerraTerm is awesome because you get a scheduler with the script. It runs as a system icon in the background, and so it's always running as long as the server's on. And the script runs whenever you want it to, and so it's on a set schedule. This script goes through what we typically do with our sites is we download all the tags, make sure we've got the data that we really want, and we really use our test tags as our major diagnostic for all of our sites. I mean, that's big diagnostic. It tells us if the site's running, tells us when it's running, and that's a big deal for us. And these scripts run, pull off all the tags, and then they go through and then pull off all the noise characteristics from each of the either IS-1001 or MUXs or the master controllers. And then it goes through and erases the buffer once we know that we have the data. And then it goes through and time syncs at least once a week for each of our sites with the national NIST standard that we use on the computer. And that's kind of how we do things in Oregon right now. This data then is just a typical serial buffer download. It saves it as a file as a buffer download. And we use another software package to generate a TIFF file and submit it to the tag if we need to, if it's rich. That's it.
Any questions?